This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
Welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnicky, and as always, I'm sitting here with Jess Perkins and Matt Stewart.
Hello! I opened my mouth and I didn't know what was going to happen.
Really?
That was it.
I reckon
mean anything. It was the word hello.
No.
That was a good result, I reckon.
Yeah.
That was a great result.
That was a real gamble.
I could have said some deep, dark secrets.
Imagine you said...
I could have said something very racist.
Your pin. 7842.
I killed a cat. Oh, no.
I hate my dad.
Dad listens, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't.
That was just a joke riff.
It's a joke.
Joke riff.
You haven't killed a cat, and that is not your PIN number, we assume.
PIN number, Dave? That's personal identification
It's a number.
Are you an idiot?
Why is that the number twice? Why is that the number twice?
I am an idiot, yes.
Actually.
Why do you ask? I plug it into the ATM machine, and I'm good to go. All right.
Actually, Dave. Very good. Hey, what's this show again? You never explained, Dave.
Yeah, you explain it, Dave.
Because I used to be the one that always explained it, and I never did it good.
No, you never did it good.
All right, well, here I go, and
my God.
I'm going to do it good. It's so nice when it happens good. Okay. What this show is called is Do Go On. Mm-hmm. And we take it in turns to report on a topic, often suggested by a listener. And the reporter, they've done the research. The other two people, they don't even know what the topic's going to be. This week it is my turn to report on that topic. And to get onto topic, we have a question.
Okay.
That was really good, Dave.
That's great, Dave.
That's your best effort.
You did it.
I was
Life.
Do you know what it was? He didn't get bogged down in the two of the three of us.
Yes. 2 of the 3 is a rocky road.
Yeah.
Don't drive down. Dead end.
Okay. So my question to get us onto topic for you two is, I mentioned Victor Lustig, one of my recent reports, as the man who became famous after selling what building not once, but twice?
Selling.
Yeah. Do you know
Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
That's the only one we've done, but I do not remember it being sold. Is he the guy who
So
designed
do you remember that at the time I said a lot of people will probably be wondering why I haven't mentioned Victor Lustig is famously associated with the building. I said there's enough of this guy for his own report, and it is time for that report.
I don't remember anyone selling it. I do remember a few people boning it.
Yes, and jumping off it.
Yes. Jumping on it and jumping off it. I'll be only after wedlock, so, you know.
That's right. I mean,
come on.
It was all above board. No little bastard buildings toddling about.
It'd be very cute.
That would be very cute. Well, this topic...
Little mice could live in them.
In the human building hybrids?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, you don't want mice living in you, do you?
Well, I mean, you don't really want to be do you want to be part building?
Yeah.
Yes.
What a ridiculous question.
That is a dumb... Now
do I want to be part built? Yeah. Obviously.
If I could be part any building, it would be Melbourne's marvellous Rialto building. The jewel in Melbourne's skyline.
Well, it was about 20 to 30 years ago.
Yes, briefly. It was briefly the tallest building in the Southern Hemisphere.
Really?
Yeah, for about...
In the Southern Hemisphere?
Yeah.
For about
Wow.
6 months.
So it beat about 11, 12 countries? Amazing.
Yeah.
Top down Antarctica.
Yeah, and your fucking sky-rise buildings.
Yeah,
Sky-rise? Am I okay?
Yeah, that sounds
Is that
right.
a thing?
Isn't it?
Or is it
Anyway, Dave says...
sky-rise?
All right, now.
Yeah, no, skyline high-rise.
Dave, do go on, I reckon.
I think they're called high scrapers. Anyway, this topic was suggested by a few people, and I'd like to thank Brad Teasdale in Ruppanyup, Victoria, Dominic Stevenson, also from Victoria and Melbourne, Jonathan McGee from Frederick, Maryland, and Dave Muraseki from Windermere, Florida.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you so much to those people. So you don't know much about this guy, Victor Lustig?
No. In fact, I would have sworn I'd never heard that name.
No. The moment I read it out and you were like, what are you talking about? That's when I thought, She doesn't remember
That
this.
was like a month ago.
I don't remember shit. I don't remember last week.
Victor Lustig. He liked the Eiffel Tower so nice, he sold it twice.
If I'd said that, you would have remembered it.
Yeah. That's one of his things that he said.
All right, here we go. So Count Victor Lustig.
One. I did it. All right.
Okay, he's a count. I like this.
He was born in 1890 in what is now the Czech Republic. He came from a well-to-do family. His father was the mayor of the town, and his lineage could be traced back to a long line of aristocrats who owned European castles. Victor was well-educated and consequently learned to speak 5 languages. What a guy.
What languages? I was about to say how many languages.
5.
Yes, but what were they? Do you know?
Yes.
Czech.
Yep.
Yes.
Spanish.
Yep.
Yes.
Italian.
Yep.
Yes.
Other.
Latin.
Yes, thank you.
How many languages do you speak?
2, English and other. Thank you. Latin. I mean Latin. I just can't remember the name for it. Well, that's one story told about Victor Lustig.
Yeah.
Another is that he was born into a peasant family, being forced to steal from the rich and greedy just to feed himself, and then he learnt to speak 5 languages.
So that
By
bit's
stealing.
undisputed.
That
And
is
indisputed. Or one of those. Or maybe another. Disputed?
well,
Omni-disputed.
another third disputed fact is that he might not have been born in the Czech Republic at all.
He might not have been born at all.
Keep that thought for the end of the show. He probably wasn't even called Victor Lustig. The only thing we do know for certain is that he did speak 5 languages. By the end of his run, this man would have 47 aliases and dozens of fake passports. The real Victor is hard to pin down, but that is kind of the point.
He's a great wrestler.
He would never be pinned.
Covers himself in oil. Little slippery little sucker.
Little sucker.
He would go on to be the greatest grifter, conman, and wrestler the world had ever known. And whilst we might never know the real Victor behind the stories, we do know some of the audacious stunts that he successfully pulled off. And this is the story of the man who sold the Eiffel Tower not once, but twice.
So good. Well, tell you what, I'm fascinated. I'm in. I'll hear more.
I'm undecided.
Okay, great. On the fence here. I'll try and win you over with some of my stories.
Some of your little stories.
Here we go. So what we do know about the man known as Victor Lustig is that in the early 1900s he turned to a life of crime. He was first a pickpocket, then a street hustler, and then a full-fledged con man.
How it starts, isn't
Yeah.
it? You don't start as a full-fledged con man, do you?
Pocketing's the gateway crime.
And if
It's
I like to
the
pick the pocket
marijuana
or
of
two.
crime, if you will.
and also, I couldn't fully tell you what street hustling actually means, but it sounds real cool, so I put it
Yeah.
in.
Hustling? Oh, that's my life. Every day. Trust the hus. Another hashtag of mine.
Every day I'm
First one
hustling.
I've mentioned, but it's another one. of them.
At first, the cons were pretty harmless. Mostly sleight-of-hand card tricks, conning people out of their money. Sort of shell game.
How is that harmless?
Well,
Is his victim not harmed?
well, you know...
Are they not robbed?
well, a fool and his money are easily parted, am I right? To quote the Bible, I believe.
Is that true?
Yeah, looked it up.
Bible of pickpocketing.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that as well.
Right.
Oh my
This is
God.
good. This is
What?
good stuff. True Detective magazine describes Lustig's skills as, quote, Lustig could make a deck of cards do everything but talk. But he could make them sing.
Like you're just holding him up going, me, me, me. Me, 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 me.
People are like, I'll pay you money to stop. And he's like,
I've done it again.
done it again.
It's page 3 in the grifting book.
So he travelled around Europe grifting and was arrested 45 times throughout the continent, but he used 22 different aliases and thus avoided serious jail time.
I couldn't think of 22 different names.
Think of it.
Like first and surname.
Go, 1.
Gary Henderson.
Gregory, I love that.
George Washington. William Shatner. These are names.
Combined too, George Shatner.
George Shatner.
That's pretty funny.
No relation to William.
Well, what was we also had an alias last week. What was his name? He called himself like Jerry Bourbon or
His
something.
real name was Andrew C. Thornton II, and his fake ID said Andrew Bourbon, and he's from Bourbon, Kentucky.
I like that.
Bourbon County.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Vodka.
A shaker not stirred.
Hello, I'm Tracy Gin and Tonic.
Okay.
I'm bad at this.
Barry Beer. That's fun.
Barry Beer.
Barry Beer.
Yeah, I guess like Maggie Beer.
There's a real guy called Gary Beers.
Yeah, that's
He's
true.
one of the members of
In excess?
Excess.
What?
Gary Beers.
Gary Beers.
Where's the second Gary?
In the middle.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, it could be the first one.
They're both the first name. They're both
His name's Gary.
Gary.
How the fuck did I not know about Gary?
I don't know.
Why?
Gary Beers.
He's on our flag.
What?
He's an icon.
Gary.
I forget which one he is. He's not the guy with the glasses, though.
He's also not Michael
He's
Hutchins.
not Michael Hutchins, and he's not... What's the glasses guy name? With the pin mustache.
Oh, this is infuriating
Doesn't
for anybody
matter.
at home who
Sorry,
does know.
everybody.
Don't worry.
I'm trying to read Beck's lips and I can't.
Do you know?
Kirk.
Pengilly.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Well done,
I
Beck.
thought she said Turkmen Bashi.
He is, yes. He's a very powerful individual.
So,
Dave Brickwall.
that's pretty nice.
Thank you.
I'll go with that. But Victor Lustig,
Matt, emergency exit.
I mean, you peaked early. With,
keep trying.
with Jess vodka. So he's a master of fake names. He's also a master of disguise and constantly reinvented his look using ever-changing facial hair and costumes that he carried in a trunk.
How jealous are you of his ever-changing facial hair?
I'm ever-changing.
How? What's changed?
Some and none. That's two options.
That's two, yes. You should shave part of it and then have a goatee.
Oh, I'd love a goatee. You could have ever-changing for sure.
Yeah.
I think I've overtaken you. in
Yeah,
the
you
week and a
definitely
half.
have. You definitely have.
Dave.
I cut mine back this morning, mate.
Great.
This morning it was down here. I had a wizard's beard.
Dave is pointing to his navel.
And that's not being generous. I mean, it's more down here. What am I
Ew.
pointing to?
Pointing to his long schlong.
Thank you so much. So,
He's not wearing pants.
So he carried a trunk of disguises. One moment he could be a suave businessman. The next he could be a rabbi or a priest.
Suave businessman is also one of his names.
Suave businessman. And his other name? Rabbi or priest.
Or priest.
Charmed, I'm sure.
Hello, I'm rabbi or priest.
Whatever religion you are, I am that too. He could be
That's not smart. They'll call him out. Whatever religion you are, I'm a different one. No more questions. That's the smart.
That's smart.
He could also be a bellhop or a porter. That was a common one he did. Dressed like a baggage man, he could escape any hotel in a pinch and even take his luggage with him.
Yeah,
Oh,
great.
Smart. That's good. And that works as well for a rabbi. Famously carries bags.
He could take
All
their
their
baggage.
religious gear in there.
Yeah, that is true.
His two most definitive features were that he was fairly short. He was 5'7", as the best of us are.
But this is 100 years ago. 5'7" would have been tall.
Fairly tall,
then,
I reckon,
probably.
yeah.
Would I have been tall 100 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was born long after my time. I've said that before. And my beard was considered long 100 years ago. That's
I
not
would have been a ruckman in the AFL 50 years ago. Now I'd be a short midfielder. Does that help you
Yeah,
understand?
thanks for that. Everyone understand? The other definitive feature was a distinctive scar on his left cheekbone, a souvenir given to him after he was caught with another man's wife.
Oh, no.
Oh, did he have to go into a shop to purchase it?
Put it right
Such a
here.
good night last night with this man's wife. I'd really love something to remember it by. What have you got in the way of
This
scars?
was before tattoos.
Okay.
People used to scar themselves up. This led to him being given the nickname The Scarred.
The scarred.
The Scarred.
Why not just call him Scarface?
Was already taken by the bad guy. I was already started the sentence
Al
halfway
Capone?
through. Well, that if I could zag when I was already zigging, yes, I would have said Al
Well,
Capone. But I'm in the middle
can
of
I just
saying
say-
the Lion King's brother.
Oh.
And I'm not. I can't get off this course. I can't.
If you meant Al Capone, that would be the third reference that we will call forward to in this report.
I meant Al Capone.
Have you read this? Did you hack my Google Docs?
Yeah, like some listeners think, this is all pre-written. Everything we say is from a script.
Yeah, like
Okay.
Jess vodka.
Let's get back back on track, guys. Okay, page 6, please.
Yeah, basics.
is
And a
all in
1,
the
2, 3, 4. For a long time, the scar was really the only conclusive thing that police in different cities around the world knew about him. So eventually he'd be wanted in 40 different US cities because he had these different aliases. People would be like, the guy with the scar, that was the only way that they'd be like, oh, you're talking about the same guy we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
There was one man in all of America with
The
a scar.
Also conning everyone, yeah.
How safe was everyone else?
Ugh.
And lucky, you know?
Well, they call it the lucky country. No, they don't. That's Australia.
That's us.
Yeah, we don't have scars, mate. Lustig took his street crime to the next level by travelling on transatlantic cruise liners between France and New York. He later claimed he only ever stole from the rich and greedy, and during this time he exclusively conned first-class passengers looking to turn their fortunes into even larger fortunes.
Right. So he's a real Robin Hood, if you will.
Yeah, but he gives to himself.
And
He was poor.
he's poor,
Yeah,
so that
okay.
counts. Until he gets wealthy, and then he has to steal from himself as well. God, that must be confusing.
Next time, be a nightmare.
He was an extremely charming man. He would convince these wealthy travellers to invest in non-existent businesses.
Right.
One of his scams was to pose as a musical producer who sought investment in a Broadway production. They'd give him money as an investment, only to later discover that the musical never existed, by which time he'd disappeared forever.
Yep.
His step up to full cons from symbol card tricks proved to be very profitable, and he made a lot of money doing this on the cruise ships. His grifting practice gave him extra confidence, and he even came up with the now widely published 10 Commandments for conmen. So basically the Bible for
That's
conmen.
amazing.
Wow.
Which is still...
Any highlights?
Oh, I've got them here for you now.
Yes,
Thou
please.
shalt not.
Not steal.
That's number one. That's the big one.
It's quite confusing.
His is be a patient listener. It is this, not fast talking, that gets a con man his coups. Number 2, never look bored. Wait for the other person to reveal any political opinions and then agree with them. Let the other person reveal religious views, then have the same ones. Which we're talking about. Hint at sex talk, but don't follow it up unless the other person shows a strong interest.
Hint at sex talk. How might one hint at sex talk?
You say a phrase that sounds sexy but
Yeah.
isn't. Like,
I'm
right,
really
I'm struggling to think of an example here. Look at this bottle that is below me.
And then if they get a boner, you keep talking. If not, you abandon it.
That's awful.
You are the king of the con. Look at this bottle below me.
me. It took me a second to get it as well. And when I did, I was like, oh, there goes the last of my respect for Matt. There was such a tiny bit left.
I've been saving that. A special day. And today is that day.
It's especially good that you said something so creepy while your t-shirt's right.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm just kidding. I still respect you.
Why?
I don't know. I was just being nice.
I mean, over here, I'm pretty turned on right now after that comment.
Look,
He's got a boner. You can keep talking.
I could not believe that I came up with anything there.
Yeah, no, you did well. You did well. I couldn't think of anything.
Slipped it in real, like no one would have even noticed. Look at this bottle. Okay, yeah, he's saying a normal sentence here. Let's see where this goes. It is below me.
Oh, I see you're interested in this sex talk.
Let me continue.
And then you realise it was just the bottle they were interested in. Yeah, tell me more about this bottle.
That is a sexy
Would you like to invest in this bottle?
That was great.
The final two ones that Matt has not been heeding. Never be untidy. Shirt writing up there.
Never be untidy.
And the other one is never get drunk.
Oh.
Jess Vodka over here.
Yes, vodka.
No, last night I was just my margarita.
Beer pizza.
Yeah. Those are my two favourite things. Margarita pizza and a margarita cocktail.
Are they really?
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's a perfect night for me.
And probably vanilla ice cream and other basic things like that.
Okay, it's just opening up and sharing something with you. Just dropping hints in case you ever wanted to surprise me with a nice night.
Honestly, the last little bit of respect I had for you. Go on. Margarita.
What do you prefer, a Hawaiian and a beer? That's your ideal night.
Yeah.
It is. I know it is. It actually is.
If you want me, I'll be at the front of the plane. First class. Where we have pineapple on our pizza.
Well, sadly, all good things must come to an end.
What?
Oh, wow.
Which I mean, cruise liners of the day, which were suspended in the wake of World War One. So we had to give up travelling with these first-class people grifting.
Oh, grifters would be having a tough time right now. They'd be having to grift people in their lounge room.
Yeah, it'd be all online scams.
Online scammers are doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So Victor needed some new people to grift. Eventually, he set his sights on America in the roaring 20s. Everyone seemed to be getting rich from the ever-growing stock market, and Lustig wanted in on the action. He wasn't the only one with this idea. Many smooth-talking European conmen had moved to the land of the free to try their hand at ripping off the rich. During this time, Italian man Charles Ponzi, who the famous Ponzi scheme is named after, was also operating and ripping people off with his scheme.
Why did I not...
I did not know that.
I did not know it was named after a single dude.
That's best fact so far.
Yeah, Charles
I don't know why that blew my mind.
Isn't it
It's
crazy?
obvious now that you've said it.
Yeah, of course.
I thought it was Latin for grift.
Well, I speak
Because it
Latin.
sounds like a synonym for like dodgy.
Yeah, because we've heard it so long.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it sounds like
Yeah,
it.
100 years ago, there was actually a guy called Charles Ponzi who was getting people to invest, and he was doing the thing where he was giving the old people money from the new people so they look like they're tripling their investment, but they weren't really. And then it all collapsed and he went to jail. So these smooth talkers called their would-be victims marks. And on the face of things, they were true gentlemen, never resorting to violence. Again, from True Detective magazine here. Lustig was a man who society took by one hand, the underworld by the other. A flesh and blood Jekyll and Hyde. So he on the face of things, he'd look very respectable.
Yeah, right.
Very expensive suits, that kind of thing. But then, really, he'd be ripping people off and also know all the criminals of the world as well.
Because, if you see someone in an expensive suit, you're like, well, that's a good person.
That's what I assume,
Do you
yeah.
think that? And
An expensive suit, oh my gosh.
the more pinstripes they have, the better.
Oh, yeah. Really thick pinstripes.
Yeah, they're
It's
so
almost a white suit.
It's a block colour. Yeah, white suits. They're most respectable.
Yeah.
Especially if you're some sort of a colonel.
Yes.
Any sort of high ranking in the chicken roasting industry.
Do you think he's a colonel of chickens?
Yeah, isn't he?
Is he not? Is he not a colonel of fast food?
Salute me, chicken. Drop and give me 20.
Eggs.
Yeah, right now. I need them.
too many
I'm
eggs.
making a big omelette. Lustig married a woman from Kansas named Roberta Norrie, but also raised a secret family. So everything was secret, even his family.
Secret second family or
Yeah.
secret first family?
Secret second.
I love the idea of a secret first family.
Yeah.
His wife doesn't know. She's never been in the back room.
Don't go out there. You won't like what you see. It's a mess. It's finger painting day.
Every day is a finger painting day.
She's like, I gave birth to those finger painters. No, you didn't. So he travelled all over North America, and in 1922, Lustig went to Missouri and showed interest in an old farm that a bank had repossessed. It was run down and dilapidated, and no one wanted to buy it. Calling himself Count Victor Lustig, his most famous alias, he claimed to come from Austrian nobility that had been overthrown in the First World War, and now, with his remaining fortune, he planned to rebuild his life in the USA and live as a farmer.
Okay.
The bank was stoked. No one else wanted to buy the farm, and he was willing to pay top dollar for it. They thought they'd found a sucker.
If no one else wanted to buy it, why are you offering top dollar?
Because it's part of the grift.
Okay.
He wants them to think, wow, this guy's really rich.
Right.
Dumb and a bad
dumb.
negotiator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a sucker. Yeah, that must be satisfying when you're sucking someone in. And they're like, oh, this sucker, we got him.
Yeah, sure, you want to pay top dollar for this piece of shit. I mean, lovely farm.
Yes.
So has the Great Depression hit now? Or are we still
Not quite.
It's still roaring.
Still, well, I mean, the farm's been repossessed, but for many people, the stock market's still building. So Victor offered them $22,000 in bonds, which they accepted, paper bonds, and he also convinced them
Okay, this is underwear we're talking about?
Yeah.
Paper underwear.
Paper underwear. Bonds, that's how bonds started.
It's a different time.
First manufactured underwear was made out of paper.
Yeah.
He also asked to exchange $10,000 of bonds for cash so he could set up the farm. Of course, they trusted this wealthy Austrian nobleman, and they gave him the money in an envelope. After shaking their hands and bidding the bankers adieu, Lustig used sleight of hand to swap both the envelopes so he got both the cash and the bonds, and he walked out. So now he hasn't paid a cent. When the bank found out, they
So what did they? They're now holding nothing.
Yeah.
Going, well, we've got the envelope here. Sucker.
no, I'm sure it's got
You
some
got a third envelope.
got, like paper in it or something, and they think, oh, great. And when they got back to the bank,
Paper underpants.
yeah, go back to the bank, they find out they're of course furious. They sent a private investigator to track down the swindler. But Lustig made no real effort to conceal himself and was found soon after in a New York hotel room. He was fully cooperative and allowed himself to be arrested by the detective and was on his way back to the Missouri bank when he started talking.
Right. So the farm. He never even wanted the farm. It was
No, he just
to
wanted
get
the
that
money.
cash. That's so smart.
Get the
That's a real sleight of hand thing. You think I want this farm?
Yeah.
What I'm really doing is stealing that
your
envelope.
money. But now he's on the way back to the Missouri bank and he starts talking to the people that have captured him. He convinced his captors that if they pressed charges against him, it would look terrible for the bank that they'd been suckered so easily and that there would be a run on the bank by its users who would panic and withdraw all their money from this shitty bank, which would lead the bank to collapse.
Yeah,
is what he
right.
argued. He convinced them to let him go and to give him an extra $1,000 for the inconvenience they've caused him and to keep him quiet, which they did. So he kept the 10 grand and got another $1,000 and they never saw him again.
That's a good grift.
He was just a good talker,
That's great.
That's a victimless crime, obviously, apart from the bank.
apart from a bank.
But it's a bank. Who cares? That's the type of building I would want to be.
A bank.
I'd be full
bank.
of money.
Right.
Where would you have a bank midsection?
Yes.
So
And the
human legs.
ATM would be my butt.
She's cashing out.
Oh yeah, that would be confusing actually. Maybe not my butt. Maybe just in my tummy bit. You go boop 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 and cash comes out.
If you were cashing out from your butt, it would all be number 2 bills. So we are doing an edit on this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sound edit.
Everybody watching live, edit that out of your brain.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that they didn't support me. Normally, I laugh at their bad jokes.
That is not true.
That's not true.
Well, they really caught me out on that grift.
Well, I've got another grift for you here. Not long after, Victor was in Montreal and marked a banker named Linus Merton.
Oh, that's so good.
Mark de Banker's a good name.
Mark de Banker.
Sean DePaul, Mark DeBanker, my two favourite rappers.
Mark de Bunker. That's cool. And it sounds a bit more European.
Yeah.
So he marked Linus Merton, this banker. Victor got a friend, a talented pickpocket, to steal Merton's pocket watch. 24 hours later, Victor Lustig returned the watch to Merton to gain his friendship and win his trust.
That's how
Oh,
I...
you've lost a pocket watch. Oh, I found it. Yeah, great. Oh, we'll get talking. Oh, I'm really nice. I'm really charming. What's your religious view? I agree. All this kind of stuff.
I've made heaps of friends by finding shit and returning it to them. For sure.
Hey, you've ripped people off.
No, it's just how I've
Hey,
made
so-
friends.
That's actually how we met, isn't it?
Yeah.
You returned that drink bottle that I thought I'd lost.
Yeah. I found it.
In a way, you kind of are, you're stealing something from Dave. His heart.
Yeah.
Give it back.
Yeah.
No.
You stole it through sleight of hand. Oh, no.
My heart.
The two men got chatting and Lustig again claimed to be an Austrian nobleman and told Merton how he'd been earning money since he lost his family's fortune during the war. He claimed that his cousin Emil worked as a bookie. In those days, the horses raced and then the winners were radioed back to betting agencies, sometimes in different countries. And Lustig claimed his cousin Emil was able to intercept the radio wires before the local betting agency closed so they could quickly put a bet on and know the winner.
Oh.
That's good.
Emil hears it, and there's a bookie over there that's still open. You put the money down. You guaranteed winner. They showed Merton the scheme, and of course, he was very happy to get involved. They did this for a few days, and Merton was stoked to be winning every single day. But then, sadly, one day, Victor claimed that their golden goose, Emil, that knew all the winners in advance, had to quit his job because his wife was sick and they had to move. So claiming that the scheme was coming to an end, Lustig convinced the banker Merton to place one last huge bet, and he put $30,000 on a horse, which of course lost. So Merton lost all his money.
Oh, no.
Lustig then disappeared only for Merton to discover that the whole bookie joint was a setup, so it was a fake bookie. So Lustig and his associates kept the $30,000.
Yep.
It's an interesting one because you've conned a guy who thinks he's conning again.
Yeah.
So he's it's hard for him to be like, hey, this is unfair.
Yeah.
I was trying to con,
Yeah.
but I got conned. That's not on.
Hey, come on now.
Come on.
There's got to be a line.
Yeah. And then it's just on the other side of me.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm fine, but...
My heart was in the right place.
Whoa.
Probably his most famous con occurred in 1925. Lustig had moved to Paris, checking into a swanky hotel, pretending to be an official representative of the French government.
Oh, yes. 1925, a good year. Also, I think that was a year that a few teams joined the VFL, becoming the AFL. Hawthorn, Richmond, and the Bulldogs, I believe.
Really?
Fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
It's so fun I'd like to fact check it now. No, why would I bother?
What? Who would care? Who would care enough to
dear.
know?
It wasn't Richmond. Anyway, maybe North Melbourne? Maybe not even that year. But a fun fact all the same.
One day, whilst reading the newspaper, the idea suddenly hit him. The article that inspired the con discussed the problems with the upkeep of the Eiffel Tower, which, as you might remember from my report, wasn't supposed to stay up forever.
That's right.
It's
How long was it supposed to be up for?
20 years.
Right, okay. It was still a decent
Then they're going to
time.
pull it. But then, listen to the whole report on the Eiffel Tower if you want to hear more. But yeah, they basically kept it up because it was a good radio beacon, radio tower, and then it became iconic. But its maintenance and upkeep at this time in 1925, and the paint was proving to be quite expensive. So the article even mentioned that some people had called for the tower to be removed rather than the maintenance be paid for. So Lustig got a friend to forge official-looking French documents and then used the documents to write to the top people in the French scrap metal industry, inviting them to the hotel for a top-secret meeting.
Ooh.
The Hotel Crillon had been chosen as it had a reputation for government deals being done there, so it looked very official. Once gathered, Lustig told the men, "Because of engineering faults, costly repairs and political problems I cannot discuss, the tearing down of the Eiffel Tower has become mandatory. The highest bidder would be in charge of tearing it down, but would own the tower's valuable iron." He told the men that they'd been chosen because of their reputation as honest businessmen
Wow.
and swore them to secrecy, as pulling down the tower was pretty controversial in some people's eyes. So he said, "This doesn't leave this room, but you could be on this deal. And I trust you because you are honest."
That's a good con.
That's really good.
I don't think this guy's good at what he
You
does.
can't talk about it because then you might figure out that it's bullshit.
Yeah. Don't
Let's
tell
just
anyone.
keep it between us,
If you
okay?
did talk-
Honest businessmen.
If you talk to anyone, they would deny it because
Yeah.
this is top secret. They'd say that's not true.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what they want you to think, but they're wrong.
Yeah.
So don't even bother telling them.
Just don't even open that
They'll
can of
lie
worms, you know?
anyway.
It'll just be such a tedious conversation for you to have. So just save yourself the trouble.
You the trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, from one honest businessman to another.
Well, these honest businessmen were convinced, and privately they started the bidding war, making large offers.
Wow.
But Lustig wasn't interested in the man with the highest bid, but rather with the man that he felt he could sucker the best. Of all the men that were interested, Lustig closed in on a man called André Poisson and made him his mark.
Can I please call him Andre Croissant?
Yes.
Croissant.
Poisson. André Poisson.
Thank you.
If it was, because I'm having a total guess there at Poisson. But it sounded good, didn't it?
Yeah, it sounded pretty
how's it
good.
spelled?
Poisson.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes.
no, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think you've done it right, yeah.
According to Medium.com, Mr. Poisson was unsure of himself but anxious to make his mark in the Paris industry. When Mr. Poisson came in for his second meeting, he confessed that his wife had some doubts and he wasn't sure if he should go ahead with the bid.
Oh.
Lustig responded by saying that he himself was just a lowly government official and that he was underpaid himself, and implied that if Poisson added a little bit on top of his offer, Lustig could guarantee him the contract.
Right.
Mr. Poisson knew government officials were often corrupt, and he interpreted this as Lustig asking for a bribe, which gave him confidence that it was legit, and therefore the contract should go ahead.
Wow.
Like, a man who wanted a bribe would say that. I reckon
Yeah.
I can trust this guy. So he not only paid for the Eiffel Tower, but he added a bribe on top,
Incredible.
which is all going to Lustig. Once Poisson paid up the cash, Lustig was on a train to Austria. Just imagine him with a suitcase full of money. He reasoned that a man like Poisson would be too ashamed and embarrassed to go to the police reporting that he'd paid for the Eiffel Tower. From Austria, Lustig kept an eye on the papers but heard nothing of the con. He was right. Poisson was too embarrassed and he never reported the crime.
Just lost all that money.
Yeah.
So how did it come out?
Well, because Lustig lived like a king for a while before deciding the coast was clear, and he headed back to Paris to try and sell the Eiffel Tower a second time.
What? How long in between?
A few months.
You're
Not crazy.
joking.
Not a long time.
That's way too
Because
soon.
he was like, well, that guy is too embarrassed to be telling his friends about this. No one's going to hear. I've only 5 men know about this, and they're all, no one's going to talk about it. So he pulled off the same scam, inviting 5 men to buy it, and he picked his mark. Sadly for him, Lustig wasn't lucky this time, as the mark went to the police after he ran away with the money, and the story exploded in newspapers across Europe. And luckily,
But
Lustig...
it did work again.
Yeah, he got the money.
Oh my God.
Then he was reported. He was like, and then that's when the story came out in the newspapers, and he became very famous as the guy who sold it not once but twice. But he travelled back to the USA and got away before he was arrested.
What?
Yeah, he's amazing. So that's his most famous grift, but not his most famous mark. The Great Depression hit, and wealthy individuals came harder to come by. So can you believe that our man Victor was so confident that he once grifted one of the most notorious men of his day? Al Capone.
Whoa.
Okay, Scarface. So Scarface and the Scarred.
Incredible.
Lustig knew that if he was caught betraying the most powerful gangster in the biz, he'd face certain death. So he decided a new approach. He asked Capone for $50,000 to invest in a new business. Lustig took the money and put it in a safety deposit box, and he left it there for 2 months. Didn't touch it. After 2 months, he withdrew the same money, took it back to Capone and apologised that the business deal had fallen through. Capone was taken aback by what he perceived as the man's honesty. He told him he'd never dealt with an honest man before. He's like, most people, if the business had fallen through, would have run away with the money. Or most people would have taken the money. But you came back to me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, right.
Lustig then told
Got
him...
a low bar for honesty, doesn't he?
That was a real gamble.
He then told him about his own financial hardship from the deal falling through, and Capone gave him money to tide him over. He made $5,000 from Al Capone this way. So Al Capone just gave him money. That was the con all along.
Wow.
To look honest.
See, that's a total gamble because he could have been like, oh, it fell through and he could have killed him or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you believe gangster movies and TV shows,
You're fucked.
yeah, gangsters are often, they're not that logical.
No. Or nice. If
wonder-
anything, I'd say they're a bit nasty.
Yeah, they can be.
That's my hot take.
And it's
mean.
It's probably a bit unfortunate that we have to sort of put a blanket
Yeah, I hate to generalise.
generalize about.
Generally, I hate to generalise, but
But I'm going to make an exception here.
they're nasty.
They can be nasty.
They're bad.
Can be bad.
Can be bad.
Please.
They can be mean.
Not Al Capone, obviously.
No, not Al Capone. He's
Oh,
an
God, no, not Al Capone.
exception that proves the rule. Which I never understood what that means. How is that a thing? You know that saying?
Exception that proves the rule.
Oh, that's the exception that proves the rule.
I've never heard that.
Okay, did I make it up?
Maybe.
Is it a family saying?
Ugh,
Like
not
sold-
again.
sold a pup?
Not again.
Anyway, I'll Google that later.
Yeah. Have you ever heard that, Dave?
The exception that proves the rule. I actually have heard that one,
Okay.
yes.
Thank God.
You could have piped up minutes ago.
I was enjoying watching Matt freak out about his family saying, which sold a pup turns out to be an absolute...
Yeah, a real
Classic.
old saying. Which makes sense.
Because your
My
family's
childhood.
very old.
Yeah. We go back for, generations.
Whoa.
Hang on, your family goes back generations.
Yeah, it does. At least 3 or 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did we not know this?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
After 4 years, you start learning new things.
Yeah,
about
it
people.
is nice. It's nice so that we don't know everything about each other still. There's still things to uncover,
I'm what they call old money without the money part. I'm old.
You're old.
I'm new money
Yeah.
without the money.
Yeah.
I'm just new.
You're new. You're real fresh.
I'm so fresh.
Fresh vibe.
Thank you. I just showered.
Yeah.
And I'm just money.
That's kind of true.
Just Dave here, dropping in to tell you that this week's episode of Do Go On is brought to you by ExpressVPN. All right, so we all know ExpressVPN protects your privacy and security online, right? But here's something you might not know. You can also use ExpressVPN to unlock movies and shows that are only available online in other countries. With what's going on at the moment, many of us are stuck at home and it's only a matter of time until you run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. But here's a little tip on how you can make Netflix work more for you. This whole week I've been using ExpressVPN to binge watch Doctor Who on the UK Netflix, despite the fact that I live in Australia, where Doctor Who isn't available on Netflix. Man, I've been watching season 1 again of the reboot with Christopher Eccleston. one of life's great tragedies that he only did one season of Doctor Who. You might be wondering, how the hell do you do that? Well, it is so simple. All you do is you fire up your ExpressVPN app, change your location to another country, UK for example, you refresh Netflix, and that's it. ExpressVPN does the work for you by hiding your IP address, Internet Protocol, and lets you control where you want sites to think you're located. So you can choose from almost 100 different countries. So just think about all the Netflix libraries that you can go through. And it's not just Netflix either. It works with any streaming service. Hulu, BBC iPlayer, I can get on there. YouTube, you name it. And there are hundreds of VPNs out there, but the reason I use ExpressVPN to watch shows is because it's ridiculously fast. You don't get any buffering or lag or anything like that, and you can stream in HD, no wuckers. Okay, so let's break this down. If you visit my special link right now at expressvpn.com/DoGoOn, you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. You'll be supporting the show, you can watch what you want, and you can protect yourself with ExpressVPN at expressvpn.com/DoGoOn. One more time, that's expressvpn.com/DoGoOn. All right, I've got to get back to the podcast, and after that, it's back to the main man, Christopher Eccleston. Bye. Lustig's most successful scam financially was called the Romanian Box. Spelled R-U-M, Romanian box.
I was going to pick up on that.
Not a Romanian box.
Romanian.
Which is a small wooden box fashioned from cedar wood with complicated-looking rollers and brass dials all over it. Lustig claimed that the box was able to copy any banknote fed into it using radium, which was discovered by Marie Curie.
No.
As well as penicillin.
Thank you.
He would demonstrate his device to his marks, often aided by his sidekick, Dapper Dan Collins.
Fuck you.
Oh.
Yes. Dapper Dan.
I'm pretty sure Dapper Dan's was the brand of pomade or hair gel from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Really?
Also, all that I can think about with Dapper at the moment, and a lot of people at home might relate, because I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing, and every time you catch a red snapper, because there's a pun for every fish, and when you catch a red snapper, it says, it looks pretty dapper. And I'm broken because of this.
I
rhyme.
famously don't understand puns, but I'm confident that's not one.
No, I'm sure it is.
Okay, well, I'm convinced.
It's not a pun.
But Dapper Dan Collins, you think there's no way that could get any cooler, right?
God, no.
Well, the New York Times describes him as, quote,
Oh, my God.
a former circus lion tamer and
What?
death-defying bicycle rider.
Yes.
And now he's turned to Collins, Dapper Dan Collins.
Dapper Dan is my dream man.
Oh, I reckon. He is incredible.
Is he single? Probably dead, eh?
Yeah, which means he's up for grabs. Can't claim the dead, famously. Also quoting the Bible
Back
there.
into the public domain 50 years after a body dies. Anyone can have it.
Ooh.
Lustig and Dapper Dan would demonstrate the box to the mark, saying that it would take 6 hours to copy any banknote.
One note. 6 hours.
If anyone's believing, this is the dumbest of all, right?
They'd put in a $100 note and then pull out another one that was printed.
That's like a magic box is what they're saying.
Yeah, it's a magic box. Really, it was the $100 note was in there the whole time. They'd have a few stuffed in there. The marks would then pay tens of thousands of dollars for the machine. I saw somewhere that someone paid over $200,000 for one of these machines.
Double their money.
Yeah.
Well, they could just keep doubling it, right?
Yeah, you do it every 6 hours forever. They'd put a few $100 bills inside, which would give Lustig and Dapper Dan time to get away, because every 6 hours they'd pull out a new one and be like, this is still going. You know, they'd give themselves a 24-hour head start. And he sold heaps of these machines and got very, very rich. And eventually they'd start realising that there's no way.
Eventually.
How could you be so fucking dumb? You deserve to lose all your money.
Well,
you dumb shit.
He would say, you know, I only con rich and very greedy people.
How did you get that much money, but by being so fucking dumb? That's outrageous.
Yeah, I guess it was a different time. Maybe before they realised magic boxes don't exist.
I remember the day I discovered.
I think it was around the same time that Jack and the Beanstalk was set with the golden goose and whatnot. That's a real story, right?
Is that a pun? He may have been pushing his luck there when he sold the device to a Texas sheriff.
Yeah, okay.
He got very confident over his life. When the sheriff discovered he'd been duped, he followed Lustig to Chicago, where Lustig told the sheriff that he'd been using the device incorrectly.
So why did the sheriff buy or get that device? Because just printing money is illegal.
Oh, yeah, he's happy to break the law, but he just doesn't want to be duped.
He deserves to be duped.
So he said, mate, you're using it all wrong. He did a couple more demonstrations and said, it shows him. And he said, because of the trouble I've caused you, I'll give you thousands of dollars of compensation. I'll give you a lot of the money back.
I mean, if you believe you're giving him a device that can print money. Why would that make any sense?
Well, yeah, no, he showed him, no, it works like this. Also, he's a bit more money because of the inconvenience caused.
Here's a few that I prepared earlier. Money means nothing to me. To be honest, why would you buy something off me? I have a machine that makes money. Yeah. If you think about it, it makes no sense that I would want you to pay me for something that I can make easily with this magic box. It makes no sense at all. Is that guy the Texas sheriff? Did he have a big 10-gallon hat and shoot pistols into the sky?
Yeah. That may have been why he gave him a lot of money.
Yeah.
Of course, the sheriff was happy until he discovered that the money was all fake. So this connected Lustig to fake money that federal authorities had been tracing for a long time. So Lustig had started printing fake money, and then the government became aware of it, but they had no idea where it was coming from. Now they had a bit of a connection.
And he's got a cop who wants vengeance against him. That's
good, smart.
Smart, Victor.
One of the agents later wrote, he was the only one I ever saw or ever heard of who swindled the law. Because that's how confident he was. He would swindle anyone.
It's so dumb.
So now Victor was connected to fake money. He'd gone into partnership with two men from Nebraska, a pharmacist named William Watts and a chemist named Tom Shaw, to conduct a large-scale counterfeiting operation. They created thousands of dollars worth of fake $100 bills, forgeries that were so good that they even fooled bank tellers. It was considered brave to copy $100 bills because they were the most heavily scrutinised by the bank as they're worth the most, but even they passed.
Wow.
The men released so much money over a period of 5 years, according to the Smithsonian, quote, it was feared that a run of fake bills this large could wobble international confidence in the United States dollar.
Wobble.
Don't wobble it.
Don't wobble it. I love the word wobble.
Wobble.
And you know what else I love? Wiggle.
Wiggle and wobble.
Oh, man, so good.
Two words that sound sexy, but actually aren't.
I think wobble is incredibly sexy.
Hey, look at this bottle below me. Watch it wobble.
Sadly, all good things must come to an end, by which I mean the run of the greatest conman in history.
Yeah, you keep using that in
You're starting to con us a little.
context we're not used to it in, and it's
You're the boy who cried,
dead.
all good things must end.
And it's going to come a few more times. I'm using it as a recurring trope in this episode. The mistake he made wasn't with his mark, but with his girlfriend. His lover thought he was cheating on her, so she dobbed Lustig into the police. On May 10th...
We've all been there, right, ladies?
She went out into her back room and saw his secret first family.
So what the fuck?
On May 10th, 1935, Lustig was arrested in New York and charged with counterfeiting. He was cool, calm and collected, and admitted that his partners were counterfeiting money, but he claimed to have nothing to do with it. He had a suitcase with him, which was searched and found to only contain expensive clothing. If it's a crime to be fashionable...
Lock me up. Lock me up, officer.
I wish he'd said that. He looked pretty clean until they found a key on him that was traced back to a locker in Times Square that was found to contain over $50,000 in fake notes, as well as plates used to print the forgeries. So they'd got him.
And at this time, this is an insane amount of money, right?
Oh, so much money.
So much, yeah.
Like $1 million sitting there, if that's fake. So they'd got him for a few months.
Ooh.
A few months later, Lustig escaped from the inescapable federal detention center in Manhattan. Quoting from a Smithsonian article that I'll link to in the show notes, they've worded it so well. He fashioned a rope from bed sheets, cut through his bars, and swung from the window like an urban Tarzan.
What do you mean he cut through
you've
his
skipped over cut
bars?
through his bars. How'd he cut through his bars, Dave?
It's not in the quote, mate. You never
Did he do it? Did he fashion a saw out of some sheets?
You never interrupt a Smithsonian article.
Sorry.
When a group of onlookers stopped and pointed, the prisoner took a rag from his pocket and pretended to be a window cleaner.
No.
Landing on his feet, Lustig gave his audience a polite bow and sprinted away, quote, like a deer.
So quite bouncy?
Yeah. No, on all fours.
Without me.
He turned into a deer.
hope the window he was wiping was a mime window. That would have been fun. Then he put a hat down, made a bit of cash,
And he ran.
and an ordeer ran away.
He escaped for 27 days before being spotted getting into a car. The FBI gave chase for 9 blocks, but Lustig's driver refused to stop. Eventually, the FBI were given permission to ram the runaway car off the road. The car was forced off the road, guns were drawn, and Lustig's car door was flung open. He calmly surrendered with the words, "Well, boys, here I am." What a guy.
badass.
What a guy.
Is this your car? That would have been so good.
He had a well-publicised trial, and one of the journalists wrote that they heard one of the Secret Service agents say to the accused, I love this, "Count, you're the smoothest con man that ever lived."
He was hairless. That's something that hasn't come up before now, but he was hairless and would also bathe in oil.
That's why he was so slippery.
He had a really,
Couldn't pin him.
he was very dedicated to his skincare routine.
Yes.
And also just a bit of self-care. Do you know what I mean?
Self-care, skincare,
Just
big two.
pampering himself, which I respect.
He was pampered. He certainly wasn't pampered in prison, though, because Lustig was sentenced to 20 years in jail for his crimes and escaping the prison. And he was forced to serve his time on the notorious Alcatraz Island.
Ooh, which we've done a report about.
We did the escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah,
That's
great.
right.
What's he involved in that?
Which we've done a report about, I think.
It said that he had a postcard of the Eiffel Tower taped on his cell wall with the words, "Sold for 100,000 francs" written on it.
Whoa. What does that mean?
Just a happy memory.
Yeah, just a memory like, I sold that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, man. You've also got secret families. Have a picture of them.
Yeah.
You freak.
And you're in jail, mate.
Yeah.
How good were you at it?
Yeah.
Really?
You got caught, didn't you, dickhead?
He was prisoner 300 on the island and referred to on paperwork.
What's our number there, Bob?
You like that?
I really do.
Paperwork interred him as Robert V. Miller.
Oh,
So that was one of his aliases, possibly his real one. We don't really know.
wow.
He was in prison on the island for the next 11 years, and during that time he made 1,192 medical requests and filled 507 prescriptions, most of which were ignored as fake illnesses used to concoct an escape plan. They thought he was just faking it.
Oh, I'm really sick. I need a boat and a saw and a helicopter.
And for everyone to just look over there for a bit.
Yeah. And sorry, yeah, it is a weird new disease.
Eventually he was examined after 11 years and found to not be faking it, and he was transferred to a medical facility. Sadly, all good things must come to an end, by which I mean the life of the greatest con man who ever lived. The man known to history as Count Victor Lustig died of pneumonia on March 11th, 1947. His death certificate listed him as an apprentice salesman.
Okay.
And that's where his life ended, but a bit of a postscript. In March 2015, bringing things back to what Matt said at the start of the episode, a historian Thomas Andel from Lustig's supposed hometown of Hostin in the Czech Republic began an exhaustive search of information on when he was born, trying to find some evidence. He wasn't listed as ever attending the local primary school, and after much research, Andel concluded that there is not a scrap of evidence that Lustig was ever born. Which is what you said at the start of the episode. He was never
Wait.
born.
So this, what? So, and then if you go to his grave, it's just bed sheets bundled together. He was never even a real person. And then there's like a montage flashing back and a cop's being swindled by bed sheets. And the cop's going, yes, I will buy this book.
My God, that's the smoothest bedsheet I've ever met.
What kind of thread count is that? Oh my
That's
god.
a 2,000 thread count. We got Egyptian cotton. Nothing but the best in this grave.
Best noise ever.
We appear to have buried a turkey alive. Just pecking at the door.
I thought it was a turkey, but it's bed sheets.
We thought it was a turkey. Why are they burying a turkey?
It's a different time.
No. It's-
Oh, well, that's a report on Victor Lustig. So there's so much mystery about him. The stuff that we do know, it was a wild, what a wild life.
Started his life on a little bed, and ended it buried alive. Sheets can't die. This is the biggest tragedy. It's still under there.
Sheets can't die.
He's still alive now.
I've said it before, but he's still under there. He's been there for nigh on 70 years.
One good thing doesn't come to an end. Life of these bed sheets.
Kill me now.
That's truly one of the stupidest riffs we've ever gone on. I loved it, but it was so dumb. A man made of sheets, still alive. He's buried alive. He doesn't need oxygen. He's not going to suffocate in there. He's sheets. Oh, it hurt. Okay, cool.
Well, that does bring us to the end of the report part of the episode.
Fantastic report.
Amazing report.
Thank you.
I learned
very
so much about sheets.
I learned a lot about you,
Okay.
and I love you more.
And we also learned about the Ponzi scheme. That was a fun fact.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I got a message from my mum.
Huh?
Let me read it to you.
He reads them all out, by the way, if you're new to the show.
He always reads messages from his.
She wrote saying she hasn't been listening or anything. This is just coincidental, but she wrote, the 1925 season saw the admission of 3 new clubs, Footscray, Hawthorn and North Melbourne. So that's the Bulldogs, the Hawks and the Kangaroos. I think that's what I said. Is it?
I don't remember.
I changed from Richmond because I think Richmond were actually 1908.
Right.
Memory.
Oh.
What, 1912. Doesn't matter. Look it up.
I scrubbed the whole thing from my memory.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
But that's pretty good that I remembered that anyway. I'm impressed by myself. Thanks, Mum.
Well done. And my
my
mum
back, Mum.
messaged because I said my parents were not watching, and she messaged me and said we are watching, and there was no emojis or anything, so I think she mad at me.
No, that's just how boomers tweet.
No, she loves an emoji. She loves a little kissy face one. She puts it at the end of every message because she loves to give me little kisses.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe my parents...
Hate you. I reckon your siblings get little kissies, I reckon.
And by watching, we of course mean we did a live stream. Our parents haven't hacked the security system of the studio and aren't watching us through a camera.
My dad couldn't figure out how to buy tickets to this, so I don't think he could hack the security system, if I'm honest.
But
Anyway, the cameras aren't rolling now. The parents can't hear.
But if you did miss the first 2 live streams, we are doing the next 2 Saturdays. There's still 2 live streams to come out.
Really been some of them... I don't know if it's because I've been bottled up at home for 6.5 days that coming in here is even more exciting than normal. And I'm normally excited. But it's been so much fun these first 2. I'm really looking forward to next week already.
Yeah.
But... it is now time for everyone's favourite segment of the show. It's the fact, quote, or question segment, which I think has a little jingle.
Fact, quote, or question.
Ding. And you can get involved in this if you go to patreon.com/dogoonpod and you support us. There's a bunch of different levels. One of them is called the DB Cooper level, which now gets you from next month 3 bonus episodes.
That's right, that no one else hears. Sorry, say again?
A mini report, some sort of a random... episode, could be about anything, and a 3rd new one, which is about the movies of Brendan Fraser. So like a Frasier recap show where we go through all the movies of Brendan Fraser, and it's called Phrasing the Bar, which it turns out I possibly accidentally stole that name from the Mic Check podcast. I messaged Alexi from the Mic Check podcast to say, hey, mate, had you said this once before? Have I accidentally ripped this off you? And he said, maybe years ago. Yeah. Why are you... like the sort of subtext was, why are you telling me this?
Yeah, it's fine.
And I said, is it okay for us to call it that? And he said, yeah, of course, but you got to plug my new podcast, which is Total Reboot, which is so good. It's one of my favourite podcasts where they go through movies that have been ripped off, rebooted, or one other thing recast. That wouldn't be it, but it's another.
So is there a possibility that they may do an episode on Phrasing the Bar because you ripped off their idea?
Oh, wow.
But they do series. So they've done Star Wars, and then the movies that inspired Star Wars, starting with some. I think it was maybe a Japanese cowboy movie or something from memory. I was
Wow,
a while
cool.
ago. But yeah, a bunch of different ones. So I would highly recommend listening to that podcast. There's Mike Check as well, which is about the movies of Mike Myers. So much fun.
Yeah, Cameron and Alexia, who host that, are both very, very funny.
I reckon
Great.
two of the most talented podcasters in the business. And I've been on episodes of both those shows, so you know it's good quality. They're letting me on. Probably two of the weaker episodes of both those shows, but still. Anyway, so you can get involved at the Patreon, and one of the levels, the Sydney Scheinberg Memorial Rest in Peace level, means you get to give us a fact, a quote, or a question. You also get to give yourself a title, and we read two of those out each week. I don't read them out till I read them out. That'll make sense if I fumble on something soon. That's me sort of pre-apologising.
Yeah.
So the first one is from Thomas Doppelrider, and he's given himself the title of Official Quizmaster for Dugo Patreons. Oh, wow. Dave, how do you feel about that?
That's okay.
You don't look
You
okay.
don't look okay.
You look
Dave.
furious.
That's kind of, I would have thought that would have been almost the exact title you'd give yourself.
I'm happy to share with
Oh.
someone as great as Thomas.
He is furious.
He
Oh
is
my God.
fuming.
His fists, they are clenched.
Oh, Fist of Fury over here.
Like that Arthur meme.
Yeah. He is now a human embodiment of the
Yeah,
alpha.
of whatever that animal is.
Aardvark.
Oh, wow, they did not nail that in the drawing. I don't think they wear glasses or sweaters.
I actually would be excited if he is the official quizmaster and gives us some quizzes because I love to play
yeah.
trivia.
Oh, actually, Thomas, are you the Thomas who does a monthly quiz and he posts it on the Patreon group?
Oh, of course, and there's
think
always
that is
a
the Thomas. That
connection.
makes sense.
We post 9 questions, and then the 10th one is what's the connection between these questions? Some of them are very hard.
Oh, cool.
Thomas, honestly, if you really want to earn this title, next time I have to do a Patreon bonus episode that's a random topic, you need to send me that quiz and I'll read it out to Jess and Dave. If you really want to live up to your name and save me from having to write a quiz myself.
Are you man enough? Huh?
That's fun. I love that idea of, like guilting someone into doing your
Yeah,
work for you.
outsourcing it.
What, are you man enough to do my work for me? I bet you're not. Let's find out.
If he loves a quiz, has he asked a question?
He has asked a question. Well done. And
Ah.
his question starts like this. As the official quizmaster of the group, it is my duty to ask a question.
Of
Very
course.
good.
Yes.
This is good stuff.
If you could invite a guest to, bracket no limitations, close bracket, or in America they'd call that some other word, I forget what, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Parentheses.
Parentheses, thank you. To your pod. So if you could invite a guest with no limitations to your pod to present a topic, who would it be and why would it be Meso? Well, because he's the official 4th Beatle of the pod.
Of course.
We'd love to watch him work without notes.
Yeah. And we have done that multiple times. So it almost feels like that'd be a waste of a no limitations guest
Yeah.
possibility. But yeah,
That's hard.
Meso, he would be the first. If it was just one ever, it would have to be Meso. But out of interest, maybe who else would you have?
What about like a great educator like Carl Sagan?
Great.
Come in and talk about, obviously he's no longer with us, but come in and talk about space, which I find absolutely fascinating, but I don't know that much about. And he knew everything about it.
Yeah.
It'd be great if he
Yeah, that'd
came
be
in.
cool. What about...
I was picturing Neil deGrasse Tyson, but
He's the new Carl Sagan.
Oh, gotcha.
You know the show that he did, that was a remake of Carl Sagan's show, yeah.
Ah, right. Oh, that's why I've connected them. What about Dolly Bop?
No, I was thinking Billy Connolly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I just love to
Tell
have
a wild
love to have a chat.
Totally.
It'd be so cool for him to come in and tell the origin story of his bit about a wee jobby in the shoe. You heard that bit?
Of course I've heard that bit, yes.
Is that where he accidentally found himself in the away section of the Glasgow Derby or something like that? I haven't heard it for a long time. I got it on CD somewhere.
Yeah.
A wee jobby. And he was talking about drinking Bovril.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he'd be all that.
It's like you wouldn't even we wouldn't give him a topic. It would just be like talk.
Yeah.
And we hit record.
Oh,
And
that'd be so
It would go for ages and it would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. How about I'd love to get some Aussie music guru. So it'd probably be either Molly Meldrum.
Or Richard Kingsmill.
Oh, yeah, Richard the King Kingsmill. He'd be great. I was thinking of, who's that guy who wears the hats?
Where's the hats?
Glenn A. Baker.
Okay.
Glenn A. Baker. You remember Glenn A. Baker?
No.
He used to be on everything as the music expert.
Right. And he wears hats.
He always wore a hat.
Much like
Brimless
Molly.
hat. Yes. Is that how you become a music expert in Australia?
Yes.
You just have to wear a hat. So I reckon I'd get one of them on and do some sort of history of Australian music.
Yeah, cool. That'd be interesting.
Be real cool. Great question. Thank you so much, Thomas. And the second fact quote or questioner this week is Kelly Clark, who's given herself the title of philosophical... phenomenologist. She's written it out phonetically.
Go again.
Philosophical phenomenologist. Can you...
Like phenomena? Phenomenologist?
Phenomenologist. I honestly, that made it harder. I'm going to have a crack at reading as it's written. Philosophical phenomenologist. Yeah, it definitely is easy just to read the word and read it phonetically. Anyway, so she's the philosophical phenomenologist of the pod. And
Phenomena.
I thought you were going to do the X-Files theme.
Kelly's given us a quote, and her quote is, or it starts with a preamble here. Hey, Matt, stop for a sec and read this in your head first, okay? To put into a slash indicator upon.
It's not in your head.
Okay. A person. Wait, hang on. I've put in. Here is the quote. A person is an entity of the sort to which the only proper and adequate way to respond is love. That's Carol Wojtyła.
Can we have the quote one more time in a
No,
sentence?
I missed that.
Because so she's put in these pauses for me to use. A person is an entity of the sort to which the only proper and adequate way to respond is love.
Why are there those pauses?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But there's another paragraph here. For Wojtyła, I'm glad she's written the pronunciation for this because I would have said Wojtla, Wojtla. But it's Wojtyła. For Wojtyła, the opposite of love isn't hate but use. That is, you can't really hate non-people, like trees, cars, accountants. So hating someone is at least acknowledging them as a person. Love, in Wojtyła's writings, isn't a feeling, it's an action. It means actively wanting and working towards the good of the person who is loved.
We've all gone quiet because none of us
I'm processing.
have ever known love.
Yeah. What is this word?
What
So-
is love?
What is love?
Are you sure you're saying it correctly? She put the pronunciation for love in there.
Yeah. I'll read it one more time without the gaps. If a person is an entity of the sort to which the only proper and adequate way to respond is love.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, I think that is nice.
That is
Thank
probably
you so much,
That's
Kelly.
one of the nicest quotes we've read out, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I love the variety there. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
And the other thing we, of course, do in this Patreon section of the show, everyone's favourite section of the show, is thank a few other patrons who are on a different level or any level above that level. I forget what level it is. Geez, I make our Patreon sound more complicated than it is. If you go to the Patreon page,
It's pretty obvious.
it's all very obviously set out. So, Dave, do you want to kick this one off? Because I think you found where we're up to.
Yes,
We're
but
still going back through the people we have missed.
But Jess hasn't come up with how we're going to thank these
Of
people.
course.
I think we should give them an alias because
Oh, yeah.
we know our mate, whatever the fuck his name was,
Count Victor Lustig.
he had heaps.
A.K.A. Robert V. Miller, a.k.a. 40 other names.
So, and I demonstrated earlier how good I am at thinking up names.
Yes, you are so good.
So I think we should give them an alias for their crime spree.
That sounds great to me. Fantastic.
All right.
All right, who's going to kick this off? You want me to, or do you want to, Dave?
No, it's okay. I can things up because we're starting very international. I was just double checking the country code. That's how
Cool.
international we are here. I would like to thank from Iceland,
Ooh.
which we love to
The
have
Iceland International Code. IC?
IS.
IS. Ah.
Yeah, just to double check. Thank you so much. And these are still people that we've missed along the way.
Yep.
Because we've had a few names and the system was a bit jumbled. So we do apologise that we've missed you before, but we've saved a great name here. Bjarke Stein Peterson.
Oh, fantastic name.
Bjarke
You were the
Stein.
right man because you love Iceland. You've been there.
Oh, probably
You speak the language.
best country I've ever been. That's right. And the 8 days I was there, I did pick up every single word of Iceland.
Wow,
Wow.
good for you.
Especially Bjarke Stein Peterson.
Why would you? I mean, firstly, Bjarke's not ever going to have a pseudonym, are they? Why would you with a name like that?
To blend in.
Oh,
Then you'd have a name.
You're standing out as the best person.
Totally, but then you're on a crime spree. You got
Yeah.
to blend in. You got to be like Steve Smith or something.
You know, if Bjarke robbed my house, I'd forgive. I'd say, of course, have whatever you need, Bjarke.
Yeah.
What a fantastic name. Thanks so much
Please,
for dropping
welcome.
by.
Yeah,
You've enriched my life.
yeah,
And yourself.
yeah.
With my belongings.
But
Yeah.
what about as an alias? His name is Michael Wachowski.
Ah, where have you pulled that from?
Oh, it just came to my head. Sound like a cool name.
Yeah, I like it. And you're confident Bjarke is a male name?
Just thinking that.
Oh, actually, not at all.
So let's go a gender neutral name. Michael
Mikkel.
What about Jesse?
Jesse. I was going to say Jamie.
Jamie. Let's go Jamie.
Jamie.
Jamie Lowville.
Oh, that's good.
Fantastic. Fantastic work there.
Great one.
2 options to choose from.
Bjarke Stein Peterson from
Thank you so
Iceland.
much.
Thank you so much. I would also like to thank now from Chroma in Great Britain, Caden Banford.
Hayden
Oh, another
Banford.
cracking name.
This also says
name.
that's a great alias as well, Caden Banford.
Yeah, that's really good.
But
What
on
are you trying to hide, Caden? What's your real name?
Caden's fake.
Let's give Caden a real name.
Hayden's name is
Okay. I really like the name Philippe. You
Philippe.
work with that?
Philippe.
Navidad.
Navidad.
Yes.
Yes.
Philippe Navidad.
Just to blend in.
Caden Banford, okay, Philippe Navidad. Thank you so much for supporting the show.
That's brilliant.
And you're welcome when you're blending in and sneaking through customs next time.
May I please thank some people as well?
Please do.
I would love to thank from, what's NE in the States, Dave? New England.
That's not a state, though, is it? No, it is. Is
I
it?
panicked.
No, that's an area because
Yeah.
Massachusetts is
Yeah.
New England as well.
NE.
Because that's where the Patriots are from. I think that's a whole region.
Nebraska, which we were talking about
Nebraska.
on this very episode.
Awesome.
Yes, a few times. Oh, were we talking about that? We might have talked about that in the live stream.
That's right, it was in the last stream. I
Oh, I was saying the fact that I just learnt this week on another Planet Broadcasting podcast, a new one called Hat Jam, which I'd highly recommend for people who are creatively minded, perhaps, or into music. It's a podcast where Kev Templey from Eskimo Joe has a musician guest, and the episode I listened to was with Kevin Mitchell from Jebediah, and they play this game where they put songs into a hat, and every past guest has as well, and they pick 2 songs out of the hat. One is to inspire a verse, and one is to inspire the chorus.
Oh, wow.
And then they write a song by the end of the episode. And during the episode, Kevin Mitchell said the fact that the Nebraska album by Bruce Springsteen was just a demo album that he liked so much that it ended up being the final product. So it's a real lo-fi album for that reason.
Yeah, that's a really cool podcast idea too. And also in the that was also at the start of the stream. Don't worry, I'm wearing a Connor Oberst t-shirt, and he's also from Nebraska. Which
There you go. And
right.
this person from Nebraska is losing their fucking mind because they're not sure if it's them or not.
Is it you, Connor Oberst?
I would love to thank Gabriel Tice Bruton or Bruton. Bruton.
We're on a
Where are we pulling these fantastic names from?
Fantastic
Gabriel, thank you so much.
Love that. Okay, Dave, have you thought of a name yet?
Yes.
Navidad.
Oh, Navidad, of course.
And also
Give us a first name.
Okay.
Any first name.
Christian.
Oof.
Feliciano.
Oh, that's good. Christian Feliciano.
That is good. That is good.
Gabriel, what do you think? I think you're quietly satisfied with
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome. Hey, I would also...
Gabrielle, go listen to Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska. Let us know what you think.
thank you so much, Gabriel.
Should he have redone it?
I would love to
You've added a few overdubs.
love to thank from Cork, in Ireland.
What?
Laura O'Day.
Oh, Laura O'Day. That's a Hollywood name if I've ever heard one.
Yep.
Amazing. All right, let me kick this off
Yes.
with the name Miguel.
Miguel.
Have I said that right?
For
Not, it's a new name.
Okay, Miguel for Laura.
Miguel, isn't it?
Miguel is fine too.
Miguel O'Hara.
Miguel O'Hara.
So what? You've changed your surname from O'Day to O'Hara.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast last night with Catherine O'Hara as a guest.
Huh.
She was a guest on Conan with Eugene Levy. Fun fact.
You're relating everything back to podcasts you've been listening to?
I can't. Well, lockdown has meant that I'm listening to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
I think Miguel O'Hara is a sick name.
That is a great name.
That's good.
But I mean, you started with a great name. So
Yeah, thanks so much, Laura.
Yeah,
started at the
O'Day.
top and now you're here, still at the top.
And Maddie Stew bringing it home.
Okay, if I may, I would
Please.
love to thank a couple of more names that we have accidentally skipped over. Firstly, from Toronto in Canada, the second city actually where Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy were in the second city improv troupe and where they
Done it
started
again.
SCTV,
He's incredible.
which apparently I never saw, but apparently it was a super influential comedy show from the 70s and 80s maybe.
Cool.
And I'd love to thank from Toronto, Anna Rain.
Oh,
Making it rain.
Oh, making
these
it.
names are insane today.
Good. I mean, we always have great names, but they feel like they're
Okay.
even better than normal somehow.
Someone give me a first name.
All right, Teresa.
Storm.
Oh, that's a superhero.
How good's that?
I mean,
Teresa's-
Storm is a superhero, but still.
Teresa Storm, though.
Yeah, that's
That's
better.
good.
Somehow you've made it even better.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa Storm, a.k.a. Anna Rain.
I see where you got it from because of rain.
Rain, yes.
Yeah,
It wasn't really that clever of me.
it's pretty clever.
Still sounded good, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that matters.
Thank you so much, Anna Rain from Toronto. Sorry, Teresa Storm.
Thank you.
And finally, I would love to thank from Pittsburgh, Penguin Country in the United States. And we have not stopped with the quality of names, Ashley Van Marick.
Oh my God. Morick?
Van
Honestly,
Morik.
honestly,
I love
I'm
a
finding their
van
name
name.
a little Morick. Yum, yum, yum.
I love a van.
Yeah, I love a van.
Love a van.
I love any kind of transportation,
Yep.
but vans are particularly good.
All right, you got a surname, anyone?
I got a surname.
All right, Dusty.
Tugboat.
Blending right in.
I was thinking more
That's a
transportation.
real low rent stripper name.
Dusty Tugboat.
Dusty's fantastic.
Welcome to the stage.
Love the name
Dusty
Dusty.
Tugboat. Doot, doot.
They're always tooting. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve. He comes out in a costume as a tugboat. And he tugs like another, like behind him there's another stripper
bigger-
dressed as a big ship. And he's sort of tugging him along.
He's like a scrawny stripper who like comes out just before the really ripped ones.
And,
He's strangely strong.
and they also tap dance like those Australian strippers do. Or I'm merging the musical Stomp with what's the Australian strippers? Men at Work or something. I always think-
Oh,
Manpower.
Manpower.
Yeah. I just know that.
Thank you so much, Dusty Tugboat.
You couldn't hand over that passport without getting a million questions. Sorry, your name is Dusty Tugboat. Well, yes, it's an alias, but I mean,
I've
I
said
would
too much.
love to see Simon, if he's still listening. Simon on Twitter, Simon Morgan Esquire. He illustrates a lot of bad riffs from the show and tweets them. I would love to see you put
Yeah.
those six aliases in a photo somehow.
Good luck, Simon.
Good luck, Simon. I believe in you. So, yes, thank you to all of them. And, yeah, like I say, if you want to get involved in that, you can get on board at patreon.com/dogoonpod. The last thing we do with the Patreon section is induct a few people into the Triptych Club. So people who've been on the shout-out level or above for 3 years get invited into the very exclusive Triptych Club. It's behind a velvety rope, and Jess has normally got some sort of hors d'oeuvre and a cocktail organised as they enter, as I just double-check if we have anyone on the guest list tonight. And we do.
Wonderful. Tonight we've got a Thai theme.
Okay.
actually. So hors d'oeuvres, we've got mini spring rolls, vegetarian. There's also some curry puffs, some satay chicken skewers.
Love a curry puff, please.
And prawn crackers. I had Thai the other night and I just ate the whole bag of prawn crackers. It was the fucking
We
best.
had prawn cocktails last week. Am I to assume that you've got some leftover prawn?
Yes.
And,
to make the crackers.
What about to drink?
Mai Tais,
Oh, they're yummy.
which I went too hard on in Thailand.
Oh, what are them? Are they green? They a green drink?
It was orange.
Yeah, they're usually orange.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to having a little sip. So,
Who's having a sip with us today?
having a sip from West Yorkshire, beautiful country, God's country, Stephen Groom.
Stephen Groom.
From Mount Waverley, near where I went to university, it's Stephen Edmonds.
Ooh, it's a couple of Steves.
And from VA, Dave, is that your favourite state, Vermont or Virginia?
Virginia.
Virginia, one of the first states. I think I've said in the past the first state.
Yeah.
I've been corrected every time. But I'm
He
going to stick
doesn't
with
learn.
it. The first state in
our
America,
hearts.
Virginia, it's John Shearer. Grab a cocktail, grab a nibbly, make yourself comfortable, mingle with the others. There's a few of you in here now. I reckon there's a good 30, 40 people in there. So
Yeah.
It's becoming
yeah.
a real party.
Yeah.
It is. It's actually, we've opened up the annex last week and mingle. And Dave's also going to put your name up on the website on a special page.
Right, and we'll
Glittery
be...
gold lettering.
There's going to be a live band.
Yeah? Who's in it? Is it
It's Gary Beers from InXS.
Gary Beers in there? So it's some sort of an all-star band.
Yeah.
Group. Can Chris Cornell be in there?
Chris Cornell.
Living and Dead? Is it that kind of
Yeah,
band?
yeah. Oh, okay, great. Chris Cornell, Louis Armstrong,
Oh my
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's a lot of heavy hitters. Can we get
Dusty Springfield, of
can we get
course.
Dolly in there as
Dusty
well?
and Dolly, they take it in turns to be backup for each other.
Oh, that's
Back
nice.
up for each other, right.
So they
And then,
One takes the lead.
go solo, the other one's backup.
right.
Keep swapping it out.
And
Sometimes
Chris
it's
Cornell,
duet.
they're sort of rotating three. We got three front.
We've got three front
singers.
people.
Three front people is not a phrase that's taken off.
But there's no like fighting or anything. They're all very supportive. They
Yeah.
just love the music.
That's not Fleetwood Mac.
No.
No.
And who's on drums? Of course. It's a fantastic Daryl Summers.
Oh, the greatest drummer Australia has ever known. When I think drums, I think Daryl Summers.
Lemmy on bass. Now that is
Oh,
a
yeah.
hot band. I don't know what their sound.
He will not look at the audience.
No.
He's looking
Or
up.
should he? He's too good for us. Oh, not. Although the Triptych Club, he'll maybe make an exception.
Maybe.
They're the only people who'll ever look in the eye.
It's amazing.
The high class of guests in there. Anyway, that pretty much brings us to the end of this episode.
It does.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to get in contact with us, we've got a website, dogoonpod.com. It's got links to the Patreon, how you can suggest an episode. We've got merchandise. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at dogoonpod. And, knock yourselves out with our back catalogue if you haven't heard them all, because we have over 230 episodes now.
This is
Yeah.
episode 235.
Wild.
Wild. All right. Well, as we say here nearly every week, thanks so much for joining us and suck.
Goodbye!
Bye.
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates. I mean, if you want. It's up to you.